Bula Vinaka, everyone. I welcome you back to my channel. I thank you for using my videos to help you with your revision or to help you with your upcoming exams. So, those of you who are here for the first time, I discuss on Fiji Year 12 and Year 13 English content, whether it be what you're going to learn, what you have learned, or ways that you can look at the papers, external papers from previous years. And all I do is help you with your studies and also your revision. Now, once again, this is a disclaimer. These exam papers are not mine. They are from the Ministry of Education of Fiji. So I'm using them as a resource to help you with your revision, to help us tackle the questions that you have. You've been studying you've been studying the theory, and then we're just going to practice it. So, and also this is also to help you with your style of learning. I understand sometimes we cannot understand our teachers at school, so I usually encourage my kids, if I teach them, if they do not understand me, I sincerely and genuinely hope that they ask other teachers that they understand. So this is one way of helping you understand your notes. Without further ado, let's look into our paper. So today's lesson will be on our Fiji Year 13 certificate examination for 2017. Now, you might be thinking, why have I gone far back? I mean, it's not too far back. I think it is relevant because the content that you have learned then is similar to now. And we are going to specifically focus on part 2, which is our register study. So let's turn to our register study in our paper. Now remember, there are 5 sections in our paper. You have A for writing. There are 2 questions. Question 1 is formal writing. Question 2 is other styles. Now both questions are compulsory, so that's 25 marks. Suggested time is 50 marks. Now some of you know what to write, but you lack the discipline in order for you to use the time. So this suggested time is not there to just fill in the gaps within the first page of the paper. No, kids, this is there to guide you. So during the making of this video, I have speed tests in my school. I try to give them the kids exams where they time themselves. So I suggest you do the same. So part 2 for register study, it's 12 marks, so 6 marks per question. There are 2 questions. Sorry, there are 4 questions, you choose 2, and they're 12 marks, and it's 25 minutes. So let's turn to the section D, part 2. All right, so we're at question 6. This is 9 of 2017. So if you have this paper either in soft copy or in hard copy in front of you, let's go through it. So register study, you look at the instructions. There are 2 questions from question 6. Sorry, answer any 2 questions from question 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if this is the first time that you're looking at this video and you haven't come across register study, meaning you're in year 10 or you're just beginning year 11, for register study, 4 questions are given and you are to answer only 2 in your answer booklet. So we learn all 4 and you choose the best that you know that you will answer correctly, and you will complete it well in your paper. So let's start with question 6, which is language of literary criticism. All right, so before we begin, remember, language of literary criticism, you are basically judging what you have read, whether it be a play, whether it be a book or a poem or film even. So this is judging anything under the literature, right? Criticism is critiquing something or judging something. So let's study the sample given below and answer the questions that follow. All right, The Deep South by Paul Thoreau. Okay, look at how that is worded. Okay, if you are not aware, so if you are doing typing, now remember, you are at the age where technology is readily available, so we know what is bold, which is, and we know what is in italics. Slight, it is slanted. So the slanted, what would that mean? If you guessed the title, that is correct. So that is the title of a book. So we know who's the author, which is Paul Thoreau. There's always been a place of wonder to me. I wonder how they do this, how they do that. I've read a few books on the subject, but never has any of those Felt like I was really there, front and center for the action. But what the author did do with this little reality remind me that the bad housing and the harsh school conditions are everywhere. Sure, on TV we see the pretty plantations and the rich history, but they never show us what lies beneath. So, a huge thank you to the author for reminding me that nothing is as perfect as it seems. On his various road trips, he talks to mayors, social workers, and every normal for the second paragraph. So a huge thank you to this author for reminding me that nothing is always as perfect as it seems. What tone do you think that is? Now, this is when you are reading this, you are automatically uh, becoming aware of what tone it is. So remember, going back to your notes, literary criticism, the tone, because it is critiquing something or judging something, it can either be favorable, meaning positive, or it shows its merits, or you can look at its faults or unfavorable. So we know that the tone of this sample is favorable. Okay, continue. On his various road trips, he talks to mayors, social workers, and everyday normal people. But he also brings alive what they see, what they feel, what they need. It is a combination of eye-opening trip and being bombarded with emotion as deep as the Deep South. I immensely enjoyed this read, and I found it to be more informative than other reads of the same line. The history was brought alive in vivid color, and I cannot express how happy I am that this author took the time to pen it down. Highly recommended for all fans of traveling books. Then you have your source and the link to where it's adapted from. Okay, let's look at our questions. So there are 4 questions. They vary in marks. The first question is 1 mark. Now, I will remind you, when you are answering your questions, look at the marking, the mark allocation. So this 1 mark, so it basically asks, it's very straightforward. However, if the question starts with explain, remember it has to have either examples or have a good explanation to the question, because it will garner, it's 2 marks. Okay, let's look at the first question. What is the overall tone of the above sample? Yes, we had discussed earlier that it was favorable. Okay, so remember your answers need to be in complete sentences, students. So let's start. So the tone of the above sample is favorable. Full stop. That'll get you 1 mark. All right, don't beat around the bush. Don't write too much that isn't necessary. You're wasting time, and it won't give you a magical 5 marks. Just stick to the mark allocation on the side. KB, explain how the tone in A above is achieved. So basically, that's asking you, if it's favorable, show me. Give me the evidence that it is favorable. All right, just like we had read, you can quote. Okay, so explain how the tone in A above is achieved. The tone is achieved through the use of favorable words or positive words. Example, so a huge thank you to this author for reminding me that nothing is always as perfect as it seems. Full stop. So you had an explanation and you gave an example. So obviously that'll give you 2 marks because you have given 2 things to the marker. Okay, you can also use another one is I cannot express how happy I am. Isn't that such a good thing to say about something you've read? All right, so that is favorable. Okay, so that's 2 marks. Next, what is the structure of the first sentence? So let's look at the structure of the first sentence. The Deep South, now when we look at structure, we are looking at whether it is simple, compound, or complex. So let's look at it. Now, The Deep South by Paul Thoreau has always been a place of wonder to me. What type of sentence is that, student? Simple, compound, complex. All right, so let's look at the components of the sentence. The Deep South by Paul Thoreau, that is our subject, has, that is our verb, always been a place of wonder to me. So, been a place of wonder to me, that is the phrase that comes after the verb, which is the object. Do we see any connectives here? Any of your fanboys? No. So, that is a simple sentence. So your answer for C is, what is the structure? The structure of the first sentence is simple sentence. Good job. All right, let's look at the last question to get your 2 marks. Identify one typical feature not already mentioned of this register that is present in the above sample. Okay, look at the question. Identify one typical feature. It does not say it had to be linguistic nor non-linguistic, either or. So let's look at the sample again. We cannot use sentence structure because it was in question number 2. All right, so you can use, yes, you can start with a title. So title, and you have to give an example. So you can write title, and in inverted commas, you write down the Deep South, close inverted commas. You can write author, author, full stop, Paul Thoreau is your example. You can also have, yes, jargons, all right, jargons like author. That is a feature of literary criticism. Okay, guys? So that is looking at language of literary criticism. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Now we'll move on to question 7, which is language of public speaking. Question 7 is language of public speaking. We first had language of literary criticism. Now let's look at language of public speaking. Okay, study the sample given below and we are going to answer the questions that follow. Okay, public speaking, in other words, when you say speeches or you've heard speeches done before, that's basically public speaking. So we're going to do these activities, and once again, I'll go back to, you have already looked at your notes. You've already gone through the previous videos that I have discussed on public speaking. So this is just an activity where we will try and we'll try and use the knowledge that we've gained from the notes into completing an activity. Alright, so let's read the sample. Ladies and gentlemen, no matter how innovative our schools or how effective our teachers are, Fiji cannot succeed unless our students take responsibility for their own education. That means showing up for classes on time, paying attention in class, and staying out of trouble. The bottom line is that no government policies will make any difference unless we also hold ourselves more accountable as parents. Because government, no matter how wise or efficient, cannot turn off the TV or put away the video games. Teachers, no matter how dedicated or effective they may be, cannot make sure your children leave for school on time and do their homework when they get back at night. These are things only a parent can do. These are things our parents must do. Rajsolal Sukuna, our late statesman, said, and I quote, "Education is a three-legged stool. These, ladies and gentlemen, comprise of the students, Ministry of Education through teachers and curriculum, and the third component are you, the parents. Parents must take ownership of children's education. As parents, you need to take ownership of your child's education and ensure they get all the attention they need to excel in their academic endeavor." So this is a source from the Fiji education page. So this could have been a speech said by our minister at the time in 2017, or it could have been said by a permanent secretary. Mainly it's someone in the education office who's trying to innovate and call upon parents to play their role in order for their child to be successful learners and thinkers of our society. Okay, let's start with our question. Question 1, what is the purpose of the above sample? Which is 1 mark. Okay, purpose is, when we talk about the different questions that come in the registers, it usually asks questions like, what is it? Who's it for? How does it come to you? So purpose, we talk about purpose, so that is the what. So what is the purpose of our public speaking? Is it there to inform? Is it there to instruct? Is it there to command? Right? So those kind of questions you can only answer if you effectively read. Remember, anyone can read when they are taught, but it's someone who are deep thinkers where they read to understand. So this is, you're at year 13 level, you're meant to think like that. Everything that you read, you need to read it in order for you to understand. Don't be a robot and just mimic everything that is written in front of you, or you just blindly read. Okay, guys, you need to read to understand. So what is the purpose of the above sample? Like I said before, they have to be in complete sentences. So the purpose of the above sample is to inform, all right? Inform the parents or the general public about their roles in the education of children. Okay, guys? So that will get you your 1 mark. That'll get you your 1 mark. Okay, B. Let's look at B while I scroll up. Scroll down, is it? Sorry if I said that wrong. Okay, scroll. Personal pronouns in the above sample. Okay, students, go back to your notes. Now remember, when there is a personal pronouns, okay, personal pronouns is I, okay, we, okay, our. You have that all in. When there is a personal pronoun, there is a personal connection. So if the person who is saying the speech, when they put themselves in the situation that they are talking about, I, the listener, feel connected to the speaker. So the answer there is to create a personal connection to the audience or to the listeners. Alright, so they'll get you your 2 marks. Keep going back to your notes. Alright, give one example of a quotation use. Okay, before I move on to C, I want you to go back to how we read to understand. So when you are listening to somebody, for example, you listen to the Prime Minister, or you listen to the President, or you listen to your favorite actors, or your favorite rugby player, whoever you think is worth listening to, when you listen to them, you try and see yourself in that person. That way, that's the only way you'll be able to listen to them. Remember, there's a difference between hearing and listening. Your hearing, you are just your ability to hear sounds in your ears. But when you listen, you actually take interest in what they are saying. So when there is personal pronouns, kids, that creates that personal connection. You actually be like, oh yeah, I think this applies to me as well. Okay, so that is why they have personal pronouns. Okay, C. Give one example of a quotation used, and from the beginning of time, we always know if there's any quotations that are used, this is the big signal, the inverted commas, or some of you like to say the 66 and the 99. Okay, but the proper word is inverted comma. So give one example, there is 1 mark. All you have to do is write the exact same thing. Open inverted comma, education is a three-legged stool. Full stop, close inverted comma. 1 mark, boom, you're done. Alright? Okay, D. Identify a typical feature not already mentioned of public speaking from the above sample. Once again, this is one thing that is so beautiful about that question. Typical feature. The examiner hasn't specifically said linguistic or non-linguistic. It just says any typical feature. So let's look at our sample. So, ladies and gentlemen, that could be direct address. Alright, you can also have, you cannot say quotations because it's already been used, yes, in question number C. So you have ladies and gentlemen as your direct address. Okay, you can also have, you cannot use personal pronouns, it's already been used. So go back to your notes and then you will see the other. What is it? Yes, the other features that is present in our sample, and that will get you your 2 marks. So first you have to identify what it is, for example, the direct address, and then you quote it. Example, ladies and gentlemen. And if your teachers haven't informed you or reminded you yet, remember, if you are quoting from the sample, it needs to be in quotation marks. Your favorite 66 and the 99. Alright, that needs to be everything that you are quoting. Okay, guys, so please do not make that mistake and then you lose marks through that. Alright, let's move on to the third register, which is legal language. Okay, let's look at legal language or legalese. So legal language is our third option. Study the sample given below. So this is rights of owner, protection of itauke, protumen and barnable lands. 28.1. The ownership of all Itauke land shall remain with the customary owners of the land, and Itauke land shall not be permanently alienated, whether by sale, grant, transfer, or exchange, except to the state in accordance with Section 27. Number 2. Any Itauke land required by the state for a public purpose after the commencement of this Constitution under Section 27 or under any written law shall revert to the customary owners if the land is no longer required by the state. 3. The ownership of all Rotuman land shall remain with the customary owners of that land, and Rotuman land shall not be permanently alienated, whether by sale, grant, transfer, or exchange, except to the state in accordance with Section 27. Okay, the sources: Constitution of the Republic of Fiji, 2013. Alright, what is the purpose of the above sample? Going back to the what? To the sample, let us see whether it is there to inform, instruct, command. So what is it trying to tell us? Yes, it is informing us. So remember, complete sentences. The purpose of the above sample is to inform the general public about the rights of ownership and protection of Itauke, Rotuman, and Banaban lands. Wordy, but worth it, because it will be 1 mark down. Boom. Alright guys, so please, I'm trying to make this more interactive with you so you can see that it's quite simple. This is an easy 12 marks that you can get. Alright, B, explain the significance of the layout of the sample. Now, layout, remember, do you remember what you did last year, the previous year? Language of newspaper reporting. Alright, so newspaper reporting, you looked at the layout or how is it presented to you. So for this one we have 28, number 28, subsection 1, subsection 2, subsection 3. So these are what we call listing. So they are very easy for you to follow. So the significance of the layout of the sample is listing, and it is done for it to be easy to follow, or for the reader to follow it easily. Okay, now remember, we learn to understand, we do not learn to pass our exams. Try and think along that way, because this is lifelong learning. You are reading these things, it has to make sense as you go on in life. Okay, question C. What is the reason for repeating section 27? Okay, like I said, or you've been told by your teacher, repetition or repeating something, meaning it is important. So if it keeps on repeating section 27, section 27, section 27, that means it is important. Alright, so what is the reason? The reason for repeating section 27, yes, because it is important. Alright, so please students, you can also use that in your language of public speaking. If the speaker keeps repeating something, that means they are saying something that is important. Now let's look at the last question. Identify a typical feature not already mentioned of legal language from the above sample and example. So once again, you can use your favorite, which is, yes, jargons. Okay, ownership, that could be a jargon. Sale, grant, transfer, exchange, state, in accordance. Okay, those are all jargons. You use, first you identify what it is, jargons, and then give an example. You can also have bold heading, then write bold heading in, quote this, inverted commas, right? Numeration, right? Numbers, 27, 1, 2. Okay, so all those can be used as your example. So please read your sample, understand your notes first, read your samples, and answer accordingly. Now let's look at our last question, which is, yes, language of religion. Language of religion. Okay, many students like to do this because it's one of the easiest registers, but let's look at the questions. Remember, if you continue to practice, you do a lot of past year papers, you also ask your teachers for samples or for questions, you will continue to get better at something. Okay, so without further ado, let's continue. For language of religion, this is our last question that we will discuss. So let's study the sample given below and answer the questions that follow.
if you've been using past year papers as part of your revision, you will see that sometimes they are presented to you like this. They'll be in different holy books. They'll be taken from different holy books. So the Quran, the Bible, and the Bhagavad Gita. Forgive me if I've pronounced that incorrectly. So sometimes they can be done like this, or it can come from only one source. It could either be a prayer or from one holy book. Okay? So this is from 3 different holy books. So I won't read all. I'll just go straight to the question. Okay, question A, state the purpose of this sample. So the purpose of the above sample is to inform the readers of the different religious texts. Now, once again, you must be wondering, how are you able to decipher whether it is to inform or instruct? You'll only know about these different about the differentiation if you have been through the different registers from year 11. Now remember, in language of instruction from year 11, there will be, if it is there to instruct, there will be imperative verbs, which are commanding verbs, and this is lacking here. It is just informing us about what is from the different text or from the different holy books. So that is where you will know the difference. Next one. What is the significance of capital letters in his and you in the sample? So his would be from the Quran, and then you have you, which is all capitalized. All right. When we have that, they refer to God, capital God. Now, when we have God, that is to show respect. So it will always be capitalized. So your answer will be, it refers to God to show respect or reverence. They both mean the same thing. Lastly, we have explain the reason for the use of archaic words in the sample. Refer back to your notes and remember, archaic words are obsolete words or words that were used in earlier times. We do not use it anymore. For example, the Levite, manservant, maidservant. Those would be archaic words. Another one is hath. They refer to the so basically archaic words are like jargons. They make the tone formal. So all archaic words or words that are no longer used but were used at an earlier time, they are for the tone to make it formal. And lastly, name one typical linguistic feature not already mentioned found in this sample and give an example. So you can use any linguistic. Now all the other registers before, it was written just any typical feature. For this one, however, you will list down the linguistic feature. So let's look for linguistic feature. So you cannot look at archaic words, but you can look at one of your favorite, which is jargons. So a jargon in language of religion can be grace, Lord. All right, those are jargons. And what do? They make the tone formal, but you are not going to write them. You are just going to mention what it is, jargon, and give an example, which I have just already said. So students, all your registers are quite simple to do. If you continue to practice, you continue to see that you can do them within the limited time that was stipulated earlier, the suggested time, and this is a scoring area. For year 13, there are 6 marks each. You choose 2 from the 4, which totals to 12. So with that being said, the first page, and I wish you all the best for your exams. If they are coming up, I wish you all the best. If it's further away and then you have to watch these videos very early, thank you so much for tuning into my channel and using it part of your revision.